All right, good evening, everyone. We'll call this meeting to order. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Board of Supervisors meeting Monday, October 28, 2024. Before we get started tonight, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence. Captain Ron Karasak, Jr. of the Bangor Fire Department, passed away last week. Ron was a dedicated member and officer of the Rescue Fire Company for over 15 years. He held the positions of firefighter, engineer, lieutenant, and current captain. He was loved by his community, his brothers and sisters at the department, friends, and most of all by his family. Ron Karasak Jr. was a hero, and we ask that you keep Ron's family in your prayers at this time. I'd like to ask for a moment of silence for Ron Karasak Jr. and his family. Thank you. Ron, our prayers are with you.
Thank you, Mr. Birmingham, and thank you everyone in the crowd also.
We have copies of the agenda up at the podium. Have the supervisors all seen tonight's agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Before we approve the agenda, sorry, let me just do a roll call. We have Supervisor Albert, Supervisor Erler, Supervisor Friedman, Supervisor Ekman, and Supervisor Birmingham. So we do have a quorum for tonight's meeting. All supervisors have seen the agenda. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Is Amanda presenting her program?
I don't know. Is Amanda here? We can just table that. Do you know Amanda?
No?
Oh,
No, I was just asking.
All right, we'll table Amanda's. With that being said, do we have a motion to, we do have a motion. Do we have approval for tonight's agenda? If so, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Open it up for public comment. Nick, if you could keep time, please. You have 3 minutes for public comment. Just come up to the podium, name, address, and you have 3 minutes. Tara.
Good evening, Tara Mezzanotte, your PennDOT NJDOT I-8611 liaison. I'll give you a little update. I believe you do know that 611 is scheduled to be open November 4th, thereafter. I should get confirmation on that over the next few days, and an email from that meeting will go out to Mr. Birmingham and Mr. Friedman on that. So that's good, and nothing has changed from the last time that I shared that with you. There will be a good-sized section. Yes?
You can include all the supervisors if you don't mind, Tara.
Oh, I would love to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll work with you on that. I need the whole list.
Okay.
Okay. So that's that one. I also want to mention that thank you to Supervisor Friedman for coming over to the Jersey side for where NJDOT hosted the Public Information Center for the retaining wall project. By all accounts, nothing has changed in what they were sharing with us from the local officials briefings we attended earlier this year and the Section 106 meeting. So all the comments that we submitted, not you guys, but Knowlton, Hardwick, and Warren County submitted significant comments and observations, and not one change, not one anything was on those. So right now, Knowlton, Hardwick, and Warren County, Knowlton and Hardwick will take the lead, Warren County will come behind it. We're working on the response to that. You know, right now there's a public, they asked for public comment, but it's not like a legal public comment period. We don't need to rush. We don't need to hurry this thing. We just need to be deliberate in how we respond to that Public Information Center. But, Mr. Friedman, if you could, send an email to them sharing your observations from that meeting, if that's okay with the committee, as a person that was there. Just a simple follow-up, if that's okay. You guys are supervisors, not a committee, I'm sorry.
Do any of the supervisors have an issue with that?
But to refresh my memory, isn't the retaining wall supposed to be completed in 2029?
Yeah.
Okay, just
A
so
lot
you
of-
know, the retaining wall within Route 80 will be finished in 2029.
And again, we don't have an issue with repairing and addressing the seven poor conditioned panels. They want to replace the entire wall, which involves replacing 38 good and fair panels, and bump it out 12 feet into the river, and do it with no typical environmental studies. So the document will explain this when we get to it. So
Okay.
that's it. And Northampton County did pass a resolution last week in support of all the resolutions that have been passed, asking for Federal Highways to look at the National Natural Landmark for the Delaware Water Gap, the National Historic Landmark for the Delaware Water Gap, and all those other things that you all put in the resolutions. So that was passed unanimously, no big questions, and nothing but really appreciation.
Great. Do you need anything from us? at
Thank
this
you for
time?
always asking. No, just what I asked for.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. Anyone else, public comment? Charlie?
Thank you, John. Charles Cole, 6 Riverton Road. On behalf of the Well Ordinance Committee, we are, I think, in the final stages of presenting to the Board of Supervisors a well ordinance amendment. It's been going on for probably 14, 15 years now. The update has been worked on for the past year or more by the current Well Ordinance Committee. And you're going to be, I think, hearing a little more detail of that from our liaison, David Friedman. So I think he's going to speak more to that. That's the one point. The other point is I hear talk of a possible data warehouse complex coming to RPL. And I say to the supervisors, get professional help in evaluating this data warehouse concept. Engineers / planners, people knowledgeable of these, talk to the municipalities where they exist, and talk to or take field trips to several of the sites, use township money to get down and look, actually see what is out there. And then when you're all through with this, you need to be doing the cost-benefit analysis on it as part of your input to the whole thing. So, I thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Anyone else, public comment? Ron?
Ron Angle, $52 million highway. I wasn't going to have a comment, but seeing how Mr. Cole just addressed what he addressed, I had hoped after the zoning meetings and everything else that we would get back to being a community again. It appears Mr. Cole and his group want to continue this antagonizing and whatever. He refers to warehouses. Evidently, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But I would hope the 5 of you take a good look at what's being done and what could be done down there, and not listen to a handful of people who continue to want to be obstructionists. And I hope we can get back to being a community someday if these people stop.
Anyone else, public comment? Joyce, public comment, it's your first time here, welcome.
Good evening. I have no comment, but I would like to introduce myself to the room. My name is Oronde Isaac, I'm at 23 Red Fox Lane. Everybody calls me Choice because my name is too hard to remember. But everybody calls me Choice. I've been living in Bethel almost 5 years now. I have a little more time on my hands now. I have a 7 and a 12-year-old that's in basketball and everything else. So I just signed up to be a volunteer firefighter, and I also like to be more active in other things in the community. So if you ever see me, have any questions for me, I'm open to answering questions. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Joyce. Yeah, we can talk, because we have plenty of committees where we're looking for volunteers and stuff like that. So if you want to get involved, we can sit down and talk.
Sir, I have a question. What fire hall were you looking to join?
No, Bethel. I just actually dropped the application off. Making meetings over there.
We appreciate it.
Anyone else? Public comment? Okay. First up on the list, we had Amanda Nyborg. I don't think Amanda's here. So do we need a motion to table this, Ron?
Not necessarily.
Okay. So if you want to reach out to Amanda, we can reschedule her in the future. Tara's going to come up and talk about Lower Delaware Wild and Scenic Expansion Presentation and Resolution.
Yes.
Tara, the floor is yours.
Thank you. As you know, my name is Tara Mezzanotte, but I am wearing my fun project hat tonight. I am currently Warren County's representative to the Lower Delaware Wild and Scenic River. And I'm here tonight to share with you everything you probably don't know about the fact that our river is in the Wild and Scenic River System. It's a National Wild and Scenic River System. And our group has a study going on looking to add tributaries of the river to that system and segments that were technically not designated back in 2000 when it was originally designated wild and scenic. So I'm going to, a lot of what's in this presentation, it's a solid 15 minutes. I'm going to take it slow because I think it's very important for you to understand the principles that are going to be in here. And a lot of that is reflected in the resolution that is before you tonight. I'm going to just break off and speak to what this resolution is asking. And should you approve it, what you would be doing is you would be stating that you continue to support the principles of the Lower Delaware Wild and Scenic River Management Plan and the Memorandum of Understanding as stated in the resolution. And you would be reaffirming Upper Mount Bethel Township as a Lower Delaware Wild and Scenic River municipality. And you would be supporting adding segments that I'll explain that were not designated earlier in the Wild and Scenic River System. And you would also be supporting adding the segments, Slateford Creek, Jacoby Creek, Allegheny Creek, or Aughton. Took me a while to figure out how to say that, but I got it now. Martins Creek in our expansion project. So with that in mind, I'm going to now share with you our presentation. So I start with the map. Incidentally, I shared this presentation with the Environmental Commission and with your Open Space Commission. To get to the point of this resolution, it was important for your Environmental Commission to be in support of it. Otherwise, it didn't seem like it should go forward. And same thing with your Open Space Committee, because they are certainly, they advocate really well for your natural resources. So this presentation is now being shared with you. Looking at that map, at the very top, let's see if I have a mouse on here that you can see now. So at the very top is the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area. Upper Mount Bethel Township is on the left, and Knowlton Township is on the right. At the very bottom, we're down in Mercer County, where by Washington's Crossing. That is the whole area that was studied in, I'll get to the time frame, but the original, that was the whole area that was studied to be considered to be in the Lower Delaware Wild and Scenic River System. The reason there's grays is that is where municipalities back in 2000 did not choose to support designation upon the completion of the study. So upon the completion of the study, if a municipality is not in support by way of resolution, their segment could not be designated, even if their counterpart across the river had supported it. That segment could not be designated. So say, for example, Knowlton had supported this back in 2000, which they didn't. But let's say, for example, they had, and Upper Mount Bethel didn't, then we could not force that segment upon you to be designated wild and scenic. It's required that you have local support. So that's why there's grays. The green and the dark blue is where it was formally designated. Okay, so, here we go. So I'm here, I told you why I'm here already. So what is the Wild and Scenic River System? Between the 30s and the 60s, government was all about damming everything. Dam it, dam it, dam it. They wanted to dam things for flood mitigation. They wanted hydroelectric. They wanted to dam things for drinking water. And that's just the way it was going. That is why the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area became what it was, because Tox Island was caught in that whole movement. In the 60s, in response to that, people said, whoa, wait, there's some pristine areas that shouldn't be dammed. We should be able to protect them. And that group of people passed bills, went through Congress, went through the Senate, and Johnson signed it in 1968, the National Wild and Scenic Rivers Act. That created the National Wild and Scenic Rivers System. So what does that do? I'm going to read it because this is important language. It protects certain select rivers, and let me say, less than 0.5% of the waters in our country are eligible. That's a very small amount. So what we have going on our shores is special. So back to the words. It protects certain select rivers that possess outstandingly remarkable scenic, recreational, geologic, fish and wildlife, historic, cultural, or other similar values. We call them ORVs, outstandingly remarkable values, in their free-flowing condition for the benefit and the enjoyment of present and future generations. So about those ORVs, they have to be the creme de la creme. They are regionally, nationally significant, like listed in the National Register of Historic Places, like federally protected, threatened, and endangered species. Lots of things that we have on our waters and of the segment and the tributaries. So what is the requirement for designation? Now that I explained that this is really a special process. They have to have good water quality. They have to be free-flowing. That they can have small dams. We've been over this, like Jacoby Creek, for example, has some little dams. Think in context of this legislation, this national legislation. They're talking about the big dams, not our little dams. Okay, so free-flowing, everything we have going on here is free-flowing. And they must have these outstandingly remarkable values. If they don't have all three, they're off the list. It can't happen. And the same thing applies for the tributaries that we're studying. They also have to be deemed suitable. What does suitability mean? Are these protections, are there any conflicting uses? So let me say, there was a conflicting use during the study period in front of MedEd, the MedEd site. That is what's called a gap in our designation. There's a gap between the Portland-Columbia toll bridge down to the metal, I call it the Tuscarora Bridge, the metal bridge. Back then, when the study went on, industrial and, what was the other language? Industrial and more developed areas were not considered eligible at that time. So that's a gap in designation. That was considered a conflicting river use. There's warm water coming in from the plant. I think maybe it was, whatever it was. But that sentiment has changed because people interpret rules and laws, right? So the National Park Wild and Scenic River System has since changed that sentiment, and that segment, that gap, is in our study. Doesn't mean it's going to make it through, but it is being considered for eligibility because it's no longer ineligible because it's not suitable. And is there a demonstrated commitment to protect the river by any non-federal entity that may be responsible for implementing the management plan? So that is certainly the municipality. In addition to requiring your support by way of resolution, you guys have an environmental commission, you guys have an open space commission, you guys have already protected lands along your waters. There's a lot of special water resources in Upper Mount Bethel. The county is involved in protecting some of your waters already. I think you have some state considerations in there, but understand that it can't just simply be a group of people saying we want this. There has to be a demonstrated commitment to protect these resources. We're what's called a partnership wild and scenic river. Very different than a traditional wild and scenic river. Traditional wild and scenic river is like the Middle Delaware, which is wholly within the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area. That is along completely all federal lands. So in the 90s, a group of people said, there should be a way, well, not should, could there be a way to protect these waters that are just as special and just as eligible that are not on federal land, like ours, running through the backyards of people, running through municipal properties, running through state properties. And that is how the Partnership Wild and Scenic River model was created, and I think it's pretty unique. So there's legislation says no eminent domain. In order for you guys or any municipality or a county to support something like this, you can't have the residents saying, uproaring and causing problems. They would if there was any chance there could be eminent domain. So in the legislation, it's written in there that federal land cannot be acquired for the purpose of Wild and Scenic Rivers Act. Local community support, I mentioned, is required. So if your town, for whatever reason, and I have the lead for Northampton and Warren County, so I've been up and down the river. So if any town, for any reason, for their personal reasons, didn't want this, their waters are not going to make it through. They can be studied. You could still say you support the study, but when this is all said and done, in order for this to make it to the package that will go to Congress, it will need a resolution of endorsement. That's not what this resolution is. This resolution is part of it is a way to educate you to what's going on, to know that there will become a point where we are back saying this is the package. Will you endorse this? Key point is local and state zoning ordinance are there. There is nothing in here that can change any of that. It's written into the language that the Wild and Scenic River Act cannot be the reason any of these things change. It's just not there. And it's a democracy when it comes to a partnership Wild and Scenic River. Every municipality and there's organizations that are partnerships. The state is represented also. We have a representative from the DEP on our management council. Every community has the opportunity to have a representative on our management council, and the management council is responsible for everything that happens as it pertains to the goals of our management plan. So our budget, so let me give you the structure of how this works. The Wild and Scenic River Act appropriates money every year to the Department of Interior for the purposes of the wild and scenic rivers in our country. A portion, and that it's guaranteed. This isn't like we wonder if we're going to get it next year. That money is going out every year to the wild and scenic river system. The National Park Service is the agency responsible for all the partnership wild and scenic rivers. So then that they get a clump specific to the partnership wild and scenic rivers. And that budget every year, and it's 5-year cycles, so we know that next year, I don't know where we are in the cycle, so forgive me, but our budget this year was $210,000 to work with to administer our management plan. that 210, we knew we were getting it for 5 years. So it could have been like 3 years ago, so we have 2 years left. So you know you can plan activities around supporting the management plan. So that comes down from the National Park Service to our 501c3. Required by the Act is every wild and scenic river system has to have a 501c3. And they are enter into a cooperative agreement with the National Park Service to receive those funds and to use those funds as decided by the Management Council. Our 501c3 doesn't have a vote on our council, nor does the National Park Service. We have a liaison paid for by the National Park Service budget, not our wild and scenic budget. We have an employee of the National Park Service who has been assigned to our river, who is a liaison. Doesn't even have a vote on what we do with our money, but her job is to make sure that we abide by, guide us, keep the ducks in a row, make sure we understand, answer the questions regarding all the rules that are here, and that kind of thing. So that is what's different about ours being a partnership model compared to traditional. Traditional is an actual park, it's an actual park unit. Let's see what else. So I did explain the partnership model, all there, comes down, we're just going to skip for time. So our timeline of our wild and scenic river, as it happened in 1992, Congress authorized the Wild and Scenic Study Bill for the Lower Delaware. That gave us 3 years to study and funded a 3-year study to see if we had the eligibility and suitability that we wound up having to recommend certain segments and certain tributaries back then to be in the Wild and Scenic River system. Incidentally, Jeff Ackerman's parents were in that original study period. So there's a body, he remembers that as a kid. So in 1997, we created our management council, and the structure was finalized, and then the package was sent over to Congress, and Congress passed the Wild and Scenic, after going through appropriations and everything else, approved the Wild and Scenic River Act for the Lower Delaware. That's when we came into existence. This study started, incidentally, in 2023. The goals of the management plan, your township is already there. You care about water quality, you care about your natural resources, you care about your cultural and historic resources, you care about preserving recreational values, economic development is not in conflict from everything we say, and open space preservation is clearly of interest to your municipality. So the process we're involved in, as I said, is we identified the creeks, the watershed. Incidentally, the Martins-Jacoby watershed, I would not go to any municipality in Northampton County, or in a Jacoby watershed in particular, without starting there. If, just like I went to your environmental commission, I would start with the watershed association anywhere and make sure that this was in line with them. It was going to be okay. You know, if this is like the golden goose. So it's like there should be no reason for any of them to have problems with it. I've been using this and enjoying it very much, as I said, as a fun project to educate everybody all along. Of course, they have, like you guys, decisions to make about this, but everywhere I go, it's not a tough decision, I should say. It's a fun process educating everybody along the way. We verify that municipal support is there. Once we get to closer to those endorsements, I've been sharing with Representative Flood and Senator Boscola's office each step of the way. We need their support. The county is well aware of the project. We need their support as well before it can get to our congressional representative. I did that one already. The benefits, so why bother? The why bother, we talked about the management council. You're a part of all the decisions. The National Park Service partnership, you're in a unique situation, I have to say, because there's grants available for waters in the Wild and Scenic River system that could then become available for your tributaries. So what you have going on up Martins Creek and whatnot, you already have a successful grant acquisition group, I can say that. There's grants opportunities that can come into just because you're in the Wild and Scenic River system. In addition, the National Park Service pushes out information to those in the Wild and Scenic River system, other grants that come through the National Park Service. And the National Park Service becomes available as a technical resource for our rivers, our waters that are within their system. Certainly national recognition, I'm looking forward to the day we put up signs everywhere celebrating that we are in the Wild and Scenic River system, and it adds to economic opportunity up and down the watershed. So this is pretty much the list of tributaries that are being considered. I've been busy in other ways other
Are you
than.
going to all those meetings?
I have Northampton County and Warren County. Yeah, so but I said I would do this, so understand the relationship. Why would I do this? I'm already here. I'm already there. So it's really just more, it's building more relationships. Yeah, and that's the conclusion.
I was going to ask you, if we were able to acquire one of those appropriated, I don't know, you can call it TE line, DOD, I don't know what the Forest Service calls them, but it's an appropriation, or if we could get one of these grants, do we have a plan as to what we could do with that money?
Oh, they're always, excuse me. So the question was, if you are successful in acquiring, being awarded one of these grants, can you deal with them? There's rules with all of these. So they're very specific, and
And when would you anticipate those funds being available?
it's a rolling thing. We just get emails about different things that come up, so.
So have you talked to Susan Wild about any of this?
I'm sorry, yes. Representative Wild's office is aware of the project.
Any other Congress?
Yes, Congressman Kane as well. We need, yes, up and down the river, yes. We would have lobbyists at the time we need them. They're there for us. So, with that, the only other thing I want to mention, I think that's good enough. What questions do you have?
Supervisors, questions?
No question, I'm sorry, go ahead, John.
So we have access to the grant money for basically just the restriction of dams?
No. Grant money, there's nothing in here, nothing in our system, Upper Mount Bethel system, related to any dams that have anything to do with this. So there's not a dam in your system.
I understand that you said large-scale dams.
Yes.
If accepted, could grant money be used to sustain our current small dams that run along the Slafer, Jacoby, Allegheny,
thank you for-
and Martins Creek?
Okay, I don't know. I mean, don't know. You know, you have a need, a niche need, and then these grants come out, and it kind of gives you a general guideline of what they can be used for. And then you make the match to see if that happens, and usually there's also somebody available to help answer those kind of questions. So, I don't know. But that's the way to think. You know, the township has something. Now, the question would come up, are they on private property? So typically, grants will not go to private residents unless then the resident will signs a conservation easement that says something about that then being protected in some way. So there's rules.
Yeah, Judy.
Yeah, hi, Kara. As an example, our Martins Jacoby Watershed Association a number of years ago got a 50-50 matching grant from the Wild and Scenic grant monies through the watershed. And that's what helped we get it, Geoservices Water Resource Project back in 2013. They paid half of that, which the grant then was $17,500 to do that initial study of what are your water resources and all of your different watersheds within the township, and how much are you using and what's available. That's just one of the different. I know the watershed also has several other grants. Anything to do with if you were like protecting the shores of a river. Some of them were about trails. There were a number of different, on both sides of the river at that time. But yeah, there's a variety of them. It's not
Opportunity.
So, yeah, it's not so onerous. When you say you have to follow the rules, it's just, don't get crazy wasting the money.
Where did the 17,000 come from? You said the matching grants.
The township paid 17.5, and well, the government paid the other.
And I think it should be reiterated that there is no eminent domain, and all local zoning is in effect, so.
Tara, there was, when I was looking through the resolution, that this was brought up to Upper Mount Bethel a while back, like 2 years
Thank
ago.
you. Yes, I speak to that.
And Upper Mount Bethel at the time, I think this is in the 90s, maybe?
Couple decades ago.
So,
Yeah.
So I just wanted to look at it quick
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get my
sure,
facts.
sure.
I want to speak specific to what I think you're asking. So the history of Upper Mount Bethel and the Lower Delaware Wild and Scenic. Knowlton and Upper Mount Bethel, neither of them did participate in that endorsement requirement when it was originally designated. So since they did not endorse designation, it was not able, our segment was not able to be approved. So that was in 2000. It was still studied, so the resources were there, and it's well documented, and it's mentioned in the act that these segments were studied, and some were eligible should the town approve it on both sides of the river, and yet there were also, in your case, these gaps because of industrialization and development. There was an effort, I'm going to give you the year here, in 2008, Upper Mount Bethel Township did pass a resolution endorsing those segments that were eligible. The gap, remember, the gap was a gap, it was not eligible, but then you said, yes, we would like our segments to be designated, but back then, up until then, till now, our organization didn't do this as a package. Look at the entire river, top to bottom, all the segments. That's actually what started this. Let's look at the segments that would be eligible if a municipality then supported it. But why, if we're doing that, why don't we also add the consider the tributaries? So yes, you did. You had a resolution to 2008-26 endorsing those segments.
Okay.
Yep. Oh, and so the reasons you guys and Knowlton and some others didn't, you'll think later, well, why didn't they? They don't want to be a guinea pig. We were burnt by Tox Island. Nobody trusted government back then in this regard, and certainly not the National Park Service. When it came to river resources back then, they did not want to be a guinea pig. So what I can say is since that time, the concerns did not come to fruition. There is no record I can find, and I've been talking about this for a long time. Nobody's come back and said, here, I found it. Where there is an issue, no issues in the Partnership Wild and Scenic River System about those things that were legitimate, appropriate concerns at the time.
Okay. Thank you, Tara.
You're welcome.
Tara, if approved, will this have any effect on Mount Bethel's I-2 or I-3 zones, or would that remain a gap?
Okay, I-2 and is that, what's I-2 and I don't know your,
The power plant
Down where
location.
the development.
okay.
It would have been mainly just the I-3 zone, because that's the zone that borders the river.
So if approved, resolution doesn't,
It's just for the study.
yeah. So if we get to the point of studying all this and we recommend that segment be included, and we get to the point of bringing it to you for endorsement, and this goes through Congress and becomes designated, it's a perfect example of what could happen. We protect in free-flowing condition the outstandingly remarkable values in the system. Outstandingly remarkable values are viewshed, the water quality I mentioned, and other resources. So, for that property, let's say another power plant wanted to be built. That gets reviewed by the National Park Service under what's called a Section 7 Wild and Scenic Review. And they are required by law is that they have the chance to share their best practices on how to protect the resources of the river, and those things get considered. There's no teeth in the legislation that can stop that from happening, though. If that makes sense. So it's a layer of review that would be in there by the National Park Service.
So question, if there's, let's say, a business like the power plant you mentioned, for some reason they need to get water out of the Delaware, is this gonna be a hurdle for like the power plant or any?
So, you're gonna have the same so this thing defers to state and other laws, so that whatever DEP is saying can or can't be done trumps everything, of course.
Okay.
As well as, in that case, I would assume the Delaware River Basin Commission, because that's a withdrawal, I would think, would be involved. So then, and they're regulatory agencies. They stop things, right? This is not a regulation that stops things. This is a review that requires the lead agency or the developer, whatever the language is for this one, it requires that the National Park Service Wild and Scenic River Group reviews it and provides input. And that input, I do believe it requires it's considered.
You see any issues, Ron?
This is a 10-font, 3-page, single-space document that I've never seen before, so I can't tell you whether there are any issues or not. I know way back when I started here in Upper Mount Bethel, that no one wanted to join the Wild and Scenic River. There were issues about you won't be able to use our jet skis on,
That's right, jet
on
skis.
the river anymore and that kind of stuff. So I'm just not familiar enough with this without being able to read this resolution in detail to answer that question.
Tara, would it be all right if we gave Ron like until our next meeting to go through the
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no rush on any of this.
And this is just for the study.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then,
Yeah, I would not think there would be an issue, but again, without reading it, hard for me, without seeing the artwork, I can't really say what's going on,
and that being said, Mr. Chair, make a motion to table action item number 1 until our solicitor can take a look at the resolution and then inform us accordingly.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any other?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I remember when this came before, I always remember Nancy Shakaitis, the Monroe County Commissioner, who they took to the farm that was in the family for generations. The usual story, I'm here from the government, I'm here to help you. You should know that one of the problems, and there was many problems the last time this thing went through, if somebody wants to build a church up on the side hill, and somebody loses their view of the Delaware River, they can't build the church. That's
No.
a fact.
No chance. There's no teeth in this. So those were that is exactly a perfect example of what the concerns were.
So there's no protecting the view of the Delaware River by any land in Upper Mount Bethel Township?
There's nothing in the act. So when they build that, thank you. So it has to be a federal action that triggers the Wild and Scenic River Section 7 review. So I'm going to use the Church on the Hill example. If they're not using federal funds, so I'll use the Rockfall Mitigation Project as an example. That's a federally funded project, totally different. That's a trigger. So is the church using federal funds or getting loans from federal government in any way? So if not, it doesn't trigger that. Then the next question is, are they needing to pull permits from, I say pull permits, but whatever you do to get permits from the DEP? That's another federal action because that's the DEP is acting on behalf of the federal EPA. So that's when, if it's a permit, they would have to have a wild and scenic review opportunity. And then the third one is if it's like the water resource one, the building a dam or FERC. If the federal Energy, thank you, regulatory agency is involved. They have to do wild and scenic review. So if it's a church on a hill, I don't see.
If somebody wants to build a new building, a church, whatever it is, on a hill somewheres, and that blocks the view of the Delaware River, it's not a problem.
I don't see where that could possibly trigger
I
the
want you
review.
to tell me, though, exactly that it doesn't.
Ron, she's already
I remember
answered
2
the
decades
question.
ago.
She's already answered. We'll keep it in
I remember
mind.
2
Yeah, so,
Okay.
right, so though, and that's exactly the kind of fears that existed, and we're good. We're
So
okay.
what about the power plant? If somebody wants to tear the power plant down, how does that kick in with the wild and scenic?
Tear the power plant down?
I'm sure eventually, if somebody's going to tear it down,
They'll need to, what, if they have to pull a permit, are they pulling a permit from DEP to pull that down? I would think.
The question is, how would that affect the wild and scenic?
So there's a Section 7 Wild and Scenic Review. So if there's a federal action, then the National Park Service, they get notified of this kind of thing happening. They have the opportunity to provide input.
I'll finish. I would just warn you, take a very good look before you do any of this, because there was a great deal of looking at it 2 decades ago, and it was a lot more problems than there were benefits.
But they didn't come to fruition.
Yeah, no, you're right. And it was evident the reason why, wasn't there?
No, actually, that whole map showed you where it is wild and scenic, and there's lots of wild and scenic rivers where it hasn't happened.
I understand. I'm talking about Upper Mount Bethel Township when they didn't opt in.
Yes.
There were loads of reasons why they didn't opt in.
All right, well, we're gonna have,
We're good?
we're gonna have our solicitor, hold on, we're gonna have our solicitor look over the resolution and come back. Go ahead, Nick.
The section 7 that you're speaking about, this study, that gets initiated by some pulling a permit. Is that similar to like the cultural study?
No,
Where
no,
it delays a project,
no,
meaning that it would delay a year? You
no,
can't-
no, they review quickly.
They review quickly.
Yeah, it's not, because they're not going out or a survey study from the DEP for threatened and endangered species. That could delay things because you have to do things seasonally. So
Right.
you're not going out there and digging, doing shovel tests to determine if something is found and then coming back and then having to do a next round. It's not like that.
It's not something like that.
No, it's more of a desktop. More of a desktop study.
Yeah, go ahead.
Out of the funding, if the tributaries are found to be contaminated, can the funding be used to clean them up, or does that exclude us or that specific tributary from being in the designation?
Good question.
So, there's a few things in there. So what we're doing from the desktop level is we are identifying tributary A, and let's say the bottom part is great water quality, and let's say there's trout down there, which is kind of weird because if the top is polluted, that's probably not a good example, but just using this as an example. We would identify if it's free-flowing, if it's perennial, and what the water quality is, and in terms of the habitat, what exists. So we would identify if there was pollution. How that gets through the whole process of recommendation, that could kick out that tributary from recommendation. Okay, so that could kick it out because we have to make these decisions to create the best package to make it through appropriations in Congress. So that could kick it out, and I can tell you that our monies are not designed to improve the water quality. Like, that's not.
Okay, it's more about preserving stuff that's still.
No, so we will there's monitoring activities that can happen, but I've not seen where we're touching the river to improve the quality. Better practices for homeowners.
Does it allow the township additional provisions to prevent things from happening that would get into tributaries?
No, because that would be.
So it doesn't
back
give
to
any
home
more
rule.
backing?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Told you solid half hour.
Tara, will there be any cost to the township for
Thank you.
this study?
No, there's no, and the legislation says that no monies can be required of the municipalities. So to join, like, we can't have a membership fee to join or any kind of fee structure to be a part of this. It does say that you can choose to, specifically because of those grants, as Judy was mentioning. So you can choose to participate in a grant and contribute in kind or dollars, as a grant may require, but there's nothing that we can impose upon you in terms of cost. The only requirement in terms of resources is you would be assigning a representative.
Okay, so the only obligation would be to create a 501c3 and,
We did all
Oh,
that.
that's done
That's
already.
done, we have that.
and appoint a council member.
A council member, yes.
Do you have a question?
I was just wondering how to go back on when this didn't go through 20 years ago. Like, where are those records at? Where do we find them?
So we did, and we found people, there's a few people that were around at the time of that study, and we had the stories. I had the jet ski story. It was a hot topic back then. So it's really just talked about and verified.
Boats, power vehicles would still be allowed if we,
Unless the state comes up, the the boat commission comes out with new rules, that has not, and it would still have nothing to do with us.
So just so I understand, if we pass the resolution, we become part of this study. The study's done, then it comes back to us,
Yes.
we review the study, and then we make a determination. At that point, do we really want to be, part of this?
So, you're deciding, two things are on here. You're deciding to reaffirm that 2008 resolution
Yep.
to join is on here. And the second thing, you're saying, yes, you support the study. So when we come back at the end of the study, if you didn't want to be a part of this, you would be you're just not showing up at the meetings. You really, a town would then not show up at the meetings and just kind of go quiet, but you would always have the opportunity to come back to the meetings.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I'm against the motion to table, because this is just for the study. Since it doesn't give any cost to the township, we could actually gain information about our waterways going forward, and voting on the actual resolution to implement it is where I think we should be super cautious with the solicitor's review.
Yeah, but I'd rather have Ron look at it first. Let him look at it first. Then we could go through with, table it tonight, let Ron look at it when he gets a chance, bring it back, and then if you're 100% correct, then we could move forward. Doesn't cost us anything after his determination first. I'd rather Ron look at 3 pages first before we move forward with anything, and then we can either approve, I'd rather him look at it first before we approve anything tonight.
Tara,
Personally.
is there anything critical if we waited until November 12th to vote on this?
No.
Okay.
And somehow, is there anything that we can get back from 20 years ago? I mean, this is,
If it existed, I'd have it. If there was a physical anything to have for
so
you.
there's no resolution, no nothing that was denied,
No, I have no
or
records of it.
something let
You
lay?
should know, I may have a file from that,
If,
which
Just so
I
we
have
can-
all my township files.
yeah, check minutes from,
1998.
yeah, well, that was my graduating year, so I'm not
So
real
I-
familiar with it.
So
But just to
I'll
kinda-
see what I have. I may have something that can help you.
Just to,
It'd be great to have. It would be great to have the history, even just to have the history in context of this discussion.
yeah, I
That'd be
mean, I
great.
definitely wanna see something that can protect the river. I mean, we've kayaked it multiple times, and I love it, but just to kinda see, and then get Ron's review and kinda look what happened 20 years ago before we were in existence, so.
Yeah, I think that's a smart way to go about it. Look at what happened back then, what's going on now. Let Ron take a chance to review it. Tara's saying it's not critical if we wait till the 12th. Yeah, I think that's fine. Any other points from the supervisors? Okay, we have a motion on the floor to table. It's been seconded. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, we have 4-1. So Tara, we're gonna schedule later on in the agenda. Our next meeting's gonna be Tuesday, November 12th, so we'll put it on the agenda for that meeting.
Sounds great, so I'll plan to be here.
Sure.
Then,
Sure.
Ron, is there a way, like, if you can find anything that you can share it with
Yeah,
Tara? us?
whatever I find from my old file, I'm not sure
Yeah.
how much is there, how much might be helpful, but whatever I have, I'll
And check
I'll
minutes,
send
just
along,
something
and
to-
I can even share with you guys, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Yeah, and feel free to whack at the resolution to be comfortable.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. And thank you for your time
Yeah.
and everything you do for Upper Mount Bethel, Tara.
Thanks.
Thank
Fun
you,
project.
Tara.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, take care.
And let us know how the Yankees are doing when you get home, all right?
Yeah.
Okay, moving on, preserve grant proposal. Nick?
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is, Simone, Simone Collins has submitted another contract for, all the updates of the grants that are actually, the NIPWIF is the first one, we haven't heard back from DCNR, DCED, but there's more work involved, so he proposed a fee base, he's got it listed on, everyone has this contract. Ron has reviewed it, and he has some questions. If you guys want to entertain any of those questions, I did. And Ron mentioned the first one about it's also that there's no end, of funding. And in our open space meeting, we discussed that, and I had negotiated with Pete Simone that we would have at least an end to, the expenditures, which we agreed to $5,000. So anything over that would have to, in essence, even before the 5,000 even is reached, he would actually ask us if he could charge us more for what he's had, what expenditures.
Are you talking about the cap amount?
Cap, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think we need a cap.
Yeah, if that's okay with you guys, I negotiated a $5,000 cap. After Ron gave it to me, I already negotiated that. I don't have time to get back to Ron, but I did email him back saying that I did do that. But if you have any other questions here, Ron is here, so of any of the other bullet points that he has in reference to this contract.
So Ron, just where you mentioned the hold harmless clause, is that language mutual?
Yeah, it's mutual. The township agrees to release, indemnify, and hold Simone Collins harmless if it's negligent in any way. And likewise, Simone Collins also agrees to hold the township harmless if it's negligent in any way. I'm not sure exactly the nature and the scope of what they're doing and if they could be negligent or not, or the township could be negligent or not. As you know, as a lawyer, it's acts or failures to act in a reasonable manner, but it goes both ways.
Okay.
And again, and I've reviewed the agreement. It has standard language in it. There's nothing in there that is concerning to me, and the only question I had was putting a cap on it so that the matter is not just left out in the open, because there was no set fee in this agreement. It's an hourly rate agreement, and the cap was put on by the township manager, so I'm okay with it.
Okay.
But you understand, this is in addition to the contract you already have with Simone Collins.
Yeah.
This is for some extra work or other things that are now on the table to be addressed.
And just the only other question I had is if Simone is gonna use any of the materials prepared in connection with the project, the township consents prior to him using that, right?
Right, you have to consent for Simone Collins to utilize any of the written or graphic materials prepared in connection with the project. Now, again, the township's consent cannot be unreasonably withheld.
Right.
If you're withholding the consent because you don't like the color of the person's hair, well, obviously that that would not be a good reason to not consent. But again, that language is pretty general in most contracts.
Any other questions from the supervisors?
No, but it should be noted that these fees come out of the open space budget.
Correct.
Okay. Thanks, Jason. Okay. With that being said, yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that we pass the preserve grant proposal listed under action items with the stipulation that the cap on fees be limited to $5,000.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Nick. The next up is Resolution 2024-23, LSA statewide grant, Eastern Industries for the Preserve renovation project.
Yeah, Mr. Chair. I'll read the resolution, but I just give a setup for why we're asking for this resolution. Supervisor Friedman, myself, and Justin Coyle, our engineer, went out to Eastern Industries to try to revive Eastern Industries as a new roof. We changed all most of the doors, but since we have more equipment, we want our trucks indoors. We want to see if we can put a meeting room in there. Since we have a small meeting room, we get a bigger room. So, hence the Justin Coyle's firm put together a plan, and it came out to $747,500. So, for the LSA state grant, we're allowed to ask for up to $1 million. The deadline is for November 30th. So. We put this resolution together, and I attached also to, and that's separate of this, with TJ, it's L3 advisors that would fill out the grant and apply for it for us. We don't have to use that, but I spoke with the supervisors about that. It might be a good idea if we use him, since it's a huge project, to work on our behalf and represent us in the state to try to get this grant through. The cost of that is $2,000 to apply, and then if we do get the grant and it is funded to us, then it will be another $2,000. If not, it's just $2,000. And of course, I'm paraphrasing, it's a 2-page document. But I'll read the resolution. The resolution of the Board of Supervisors of Upper Mount Bethel Township approving the submission of a local share program statewide application for Eastern Industries renovation project. Be it resolved that the Upper Mount Bethel Township Board of Supervisors of Northampton County hereby request a statewide local share account grant of $747,500 from the Commonwealth Financing Authority to be used for Eastern Industries renovation project. Be it further resolved that the applicant does hereby designate Thomas Lonergan and Cindy Beck, Township Manager, as the officials to execute all documents and agreements between the Upper Mount Bethel Township Board of Supervisors and the Commonwealth Financing Authority to facilitate and assist in obtaining the requested grant. I, Corey Ekman, duly certified Secretary of Upper Mount Bethel Township Board of Supervisors, Northampton County, PA, hereby certify the foregoing is true and correct. A copy of the resolution duly adopted by a majority vote of the Upper Mount Bethel Township Board of Supervisors at a regular meeting held October 28, 2024, and said resolution as being recorded in the minutes of the Upper Mount Bethel Township Board of Supervisors remains in effect as of this date. So,
Okay, thank you. Nick?
Yep.
Any questions from the supervisors?
Yes, does this pertain to the home or just the larger building which is going to be housing the trucks?
Not the home, no. Just the buildings that are housing the 2-door facility and the 4-door facility, garage door.
Okay.
Actually, it's 6, I'm sorry, 6. It's 2 units, but that's it, not the home.
And Justin, you had an estimate of $747,500.
Yes, we did an itemized breakdown of all the proposed improvements. We considered prevailing wage. We met with a contractor that would potentially bid the project to try and get a good gauge from a contractor's point of view. But this is basically to update the space as the manager had discussed. New ceilings, new walls, new floors, basically fitting out the space, HVAC. It would basically turn into a community building where you could actually have township meetings there. So it's basically a full renovation of the building.
Do you think we should ask for a little bit more, or?
We took the contractor's quote, we bumped that up, which we thought, put a contingency plan in place, and then we added another 40% for prevailing wages, increased cost of materials. We feel pretty comfortable with it.
Okay.
And that's
Thank you.
basically just gonna be storage, right? Like the shop will
Well,
be
look,
here.
more than that, Corey, it's gonna be
Well,
like,
our meeting room and stuff will be here, but like our shop will stay here. There won't be working.
well, the plans are to move a lot of that to the eastern. There's two buildings, so one building will be like a dual purpose, so we have meetings and light work and just basically storing vehicles. And the other building will be actually, you could do work and mechanical work. There's gonna be offices,
And then still
bathrooms.
keep this still as a
Yeah.
garage here too.
Yeah.
The
Near future,
building down there has a lot of potential. I mean, it's big, we can keep all of our equipment in there.
yeah.
We've, proposed a curtain wall where it can be closed in the cold weather, so we don't have to heat the whole building. There'll be a foreman's office, a facility for the road crew with tables and lockers. The one section will be utilized as a meeting room, so we don't have to keep switching back and forth all the time.
Does that mean we even need this building anymore?
Oh, yeah, you'll still need the building, just a meeting room down there.
Okay.
But we still need the building here. But basically, the road crew would be going down and moving everything that's currently out in the two-car garage down there to a much larger facility where all our equipment could be put inside come winter.
Yeah.
Instead of having to sit outside.
Could we then utilize this garage as an official,
You could change that into a meeting room, yeah, for
Or you could put an ambulance in there.
whatever, but yeah, the Eastern Industries has a lot of potential.
Stavros, you had a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if the technological infrastructure was included in that estimate. If you're gonna put a meeting room down there, camera, internet's down there already.
Yeah.
Cameras will probably get swapped, but premise wiring might be needed depending on what's going on. The phones would have to move, the computers can move, it can all be integrated, it's just,
Yeah.
that might be on top of the structural components, just leave, you're gonna need some budget for the technological piece of it.
Okay, thanks, Stavros. Ron?
I've been here a long time. I'd like to think that somewhere along the line here, there would be a long-range plan. Corey just pointed out something interesting. You have the preserve over there. At the same place you have the preserve, you're now gonna have your major truck operation. Really kind of bizarre. And then this building's going to sit here. You keep doing these things piecemeal without looking at the big picture. Somewhere's along the line, I probably will be gone, many of us may be gone, this township will go on and it will have needs. But there's never a look at that long term to meet those needs. I had really hoped with the original River Point, which was going to do a number of things, that some of that would have got addressed at that point in time. But you just seem to be mixing things together that don't really mesh. It's like the building over there that somebody referred to as the house. It really is not a house. It was Mary Nephew's private little building for her office and a staircase case to get upstairs. But again, another board of supervisors put a roof on it. Another board of supervisors sided it. And it still sits there, falling down, quite frankly. And there's no use for that. Somewhere along the line, some board of supervisors here is going to have to take a really good look. And there may be some problems in between. But somewhere along the line, there should be a preserve, a park, a meeting facility. Someday there may be a police department again. And frankly, you keep doing things that really don't mesh into that picture of having these things. You're pushing them together. And I understand there's a lot of land over there at the preserve slash truck center, whatever you want to call it, but does this all really make sense? Or are you just trying to fill gaps and there's no big picture?
Okay, appreciate your comments, Ron. We are talking about having a 10-year, 20-year plan, and, yeah, so we will talk about that, but.
But the fire company gave you a 5 and 10 year plan here a while back, and as the gentleman on the board said, the firehouse is falling down. I think that was the exact words at the last meeting. This sounds good, but there has to be a plan that is implementable and financeable.
It'll be a lot easier, you know, if development comes here and we increase our tax revenue, we're gonna be able to do a lot more things.
But you seem to have been fighting that on a pretty regular basis.
Okay, well, let's move on, Ron.
You know?
Appreciate your time.
I mean, I'm sitting here watching it, so not like it's not happening.
I do believe that building is, the larger one, is perfect for road crew, as it can fit large trucks, there's plenty of
Over
room
at
to
the
work in
preserve.
there. Over at the preserve. If the smaller is for offices and storage, that's great.
Okay, thank you, John. Okay, so this is for resolution 2024-23 LSA statewide grant Eastern Industries renovation. Did you make the motion?
No one did.
No one did. Okay, so
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2024-23.
Second.
okay, any other discussion?
But just, Nick and I were just talking, just so you know, in the master plan for that preserve, it does include the whole public works area in there.
Yeah, the public works was taken into account when the master plan was drawn up.
Yeah, okay,
Including buffer zones and drainage and
That was all included in the plan.
okay,
so it's a whole separate.
great, excellent.
Oh, look at that, you guys are looking ahead.
All right. All right, we have a motion on the floor, it's been seconded. All those in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Nick. And you're up again.
Well, keep going. This one should be easier.
Resolution
So
2024-24.
Yep, this resolution is basically just an opportunity to be able to apply for grants from the federal government. We're not applying for anything that you have to ask permission to do it.
Yes, that's the federal government.
Yeah, so this is basically a resolution saying that we would like to be able to apply for federal grants for open space. I could read this resolution.
I think just read like the first paragraph, or
Okay.
first two paragraphs, and I think you'll
Okay. So, there's a resolution that the Upper Mount Bethel Township Board of Supervisors supports being officially included in the federal Highlands boundary as maintained by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Whereas the Highlands region encompasses more than 3 million acres of Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, and whereas the Highlands region is an area of national significance possessing substantial natural beauty, containing contiguous forest and productive farmland, numerous cultural and historic sites, plentiful recreation opportunities, and the protection and supply of important drinking water sources for over 15 million people. And whereas the U.S. Congress, the bipartisanship, passed the Highlands Conservancy Act Public Law 10-421 that was signed into law by the President of the United States on November 30th, 2004, designated the Highlands as significant national conservation priority region.
That's
And,
good.
is that good enough? All right.
And you can read the very last sentence.
This resolution being duly presented by motion and duly seconded was carried and adopted by the Upper Mount Bethel Township Board of Supervisors at a public meeting held on the 28th day of October, 2024.
If anybody wants to see the full resolution, you can come up after the meeting. That being said, is there a motion to approve resolution 2024-24?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Nick. Supervisor Erler, Resolution 2024-25.
This is a resolution to establish the Transportation Advisory Committee. This resolution is not complete, and Jeff is not here today, so I'd like to have this resolution tabled until the next meeting.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make that motion.
Second?
Any discussion?
Asking for the, if I could give this to Jeff to have it completely filled out so that it is completed when we vote on it.
Sure. Okay, all those in favor of the motion, it's been seconded, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Yes, please. So we'll put it on for the 12th. On the right.
So we're moving the 11th meeting to the 12th?
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. During the special meeting, you'll be playing
Right. You know, if it looks like we need Ron here for something on the agenda, then we'll switch it.
Go from there.
Yeah. Okay, moving on, new business, wild and scenic UMBT representative. I have one letter of interest. Okay.
I didn't even advertise it, I just received it.
I put it in my announcements, I believe, 3 or 4
Yeah.
meetings ago, just in case we did pass it, but I think this has to be tabled since we didn't even vote on the study.
We don't necessarily have to table it. If the resolution passes, then we can say.
Yeah, I don't think we need to table it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good point. I'm glad you brought it up. But Ron, we can go forward with appointing this individual who put in a letter of interest. He's the only person, and we don't want him to run away or anything or withdraw his letter.
I believe you can, just make it conditioned upon the approval of the underlying resolution.
Okay.
Okay, Ron, I have another question. The only applicant that's going for this is my current employer, so do I have to abstain from this vote?
You have to abstain if you are receiving any type of pecuniary interest as a result of your voting.
Hey
So
Jeff,
that-
am I getting a raise? No, all right,
So
so,
if you're not receiving any pecuniary interest, you can vote, but if you wish, you can abstain, because not only would there be probably enough votes to pass, then you're safe. So it's your call.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll choose to abstain out of the utmost caution.
Okay. That being said, then I'll make a motion and we go ahead and appoint Jeff Ackerman as Upper Mount Bethel's representative to the Lower Delaware Wild and Scenic Management Council.
If the resolution
If
passes.
the resolution, if resolution 2024-21 is approved by the supervisors.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. 4-0, sorry, with Supervisor Erler abstaining.
Thank you.
Busy day.
Thank you. Next up is garbage bill discount, and we like the sound of that, so, Nick, you're up.
Okay, Mr. Chair, so next year's bill, obviously there's an increase. So this will be our last year of responsibility for the bill for 2025. There were 2 other increases, but that's not, we're here to discuss. But for next year, the base pay for the bill will be $543.75, plus a $7.25 fee from Berkheimer that's on the bill. We all pay that. So next year's bill will be $551. That is a $31 increase from last year's bill. The supervisors asked me to figure out a discount in the budget, which I did. I did a 10% and a 5% discount. And this discount is for people that pay their bill. And if there's no incentive right now to pay the bill before December 31st. So we're finding a lot of people, 935 people have not paid their bill, nothing. There's a lot of people are paying, there's about 1,000 people that are paying monthly. There's 935 people that have not paid. Past practice, they have waited to the last day in December 31st, and they pay. And of course, with the post office and everything, we don't see that money until the following budget, which is January. We received probably, between January and February, we received $225,000 last year from the previous bill. And it looks like that's the norm now, and that's what's happening this year too. Just like I said, 995 people have not paid anything. 1,000 have paid monthly. So to give an incentive, just like we had in the past, and we have on our county bill and on our township bill, there's a discount period. And I'm recommending that we do paid by the bill will go out before February 1st, probably like January. It usually goes through, and you get it like the first week of February. If it's paid by April 30th, 2025, and again, this is up to the Board of Supervisors, what they want to choose and if they don't want to choose. So the 2025 discount at 10%, the bill would be $489.38, a savings from the base of $54.37. You still have to pay the $725. That goes without saying. Everyone's got to pay that. So the bill for a person who pays the bill before April 30th, 2025, it will be $496.63. If you want to use a 5% discount, it will be $523.45. A savings from the base of $20.30 plus the $725, and the bill total will be $530.70. I did bake in, whatever you want to call it, into the budget, the 10%. So, in essence, the 5% will be less money that will be spent in the budget, but it is baked into the budget. We'll be discussing that in the next two items. But that's the proposal that I put together for the board. It's up to whether you have any questions. If you want to do this, I don't know if we need a resolution, Ron, or a simple vote, because it's not a tax, it's just a discount, but that's up to Ron.
Well, the payment is being made pursuant to contract, correct? There's no ordinance or resolution or anything to that effect.
No.
All right, so I would say that since you're not really making law, you're just readjusting fee, that would be administrative, and probably should at least have a resolution in place for that.
Okay. And I would suggest also this probably just for 2025 and discuss it.
Yeah, because we're gonna look for.
We're gonna be negotiating for next year, the following year, I'm sorry, 2026.
And then what's the date of the 5/30/70? Is that December 30, like the end of December then?
The 551?
It's either 10% or the 5%.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to go with a discount. The base.
Is there an ability to, if you pay by April, it would be you'd have the 10%, but if you paid by, let's say, June, it'd be the 5%, and then at the end of the year?
It's up to you. Yeah, that's up to the board if you want to change it. Yeah, I mean, it'll be complicated with I spoke with Berkheim with the billing. They could do a 10% or a 5%. They did not discuss extending it out.
Okay.
I just copied basically what we do for the county and for the township billing. It's a standard percentage, and then it becomes base, but then there's also a fine fee, but we don't have that. We're not initiating that, where there's actually a penalty period. There is none for garbage.
Okay, well, as a resident, I like the 10% discount, but, Jason, how does the, as the treasurer, how does this 10% look in our budgeting?
We included it in there.
So, it's fine.
Hey, Choice, I know you had your hand up first, and then Stavros, I'll get over you.
He answered my question pretty much. I was gonna ask how much loan was on the contract.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask how much loan was on the contract with Waste Management.
till next year, till the end of next year.
That's it?
Yeah.
There are 2 extension periods.
Cause a lot of townships is leaving Waste Management as of now. They just lost a contract with Allentown.
Who,
Yeah.
Waste Management?
Yeah, Waste Management just lost the whole contract with Allentown. Also, a development in Stroudsburg.
Who did they lose the contract in Allentown to?
I think it was Mascaro. I believe it was Mascaro. A couple other people turned it down.
Yeah.
Another contract. Mascaro can't handle the contract either, but they try and hire back the Waste Management to come over there to do that.
Yeah.
And also, Waste Management is about to lose a whole development of 2,000 houses in Stroudsburg as well.
Wow.
So Waste Management is going down fast.
Okay. Thanks, George.
Thank you for that information.
Stavros.
I work for Casella. I'm sorry. I work for Casella. That's how I know. I left Waste Management with the Casella Management now. Also, John Riccio, which was a former manager at Waste Management, also at Casella as well.
So, Choice, we're gonna be looking for a new contract come 2026, so if you have employee discount for the township, talk to us. Yes, Stavros.
Well, my question is this discount coming from Waste Management to the township, or is the township providing this discount out of taxpayer money?
It's the budget, not Waste Management.
So it's taxpayer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
A simple question. The number of people having paid this year compared to last year, considering the economy, is there more people having paid by this date this year?
Actually, it's a little bit more, unfortunately, but it's not where we want to be. That's why the incentive is to get the money now instead of waiting until next year to get the money. Just an incentive to make people, there is no incentive. They're putting it on their refrigerator and they're holding it there until 12/31, but it should be here. And we could use it, so we're using other funds to pay for that. We're okay, but that's what the incentive is for.
But again, what hurts the budget is you're funding the delinquent garbage bills out of general fund in the budget.
Yeah, that's been going on for years.
Yeah, I know.
Unfortunately, it's compounding now because obviously the rate is double. We were paying $225, now it's
But
$500.
as recently as Portland, they had one bid, Waste Management. They went out for a second set of bids, and I understand got 4 or 5 bids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark.
Delinquency penalty could be a good incentive too.
Well, they are getting a penalty once, after December 31st, it goes into collections. There's penalties. We just get, we don't get the penalties, it goes to credit tech because they're the company that goes with the chasing, not us, so. There is a penalty to the people that don't pay.
Is it substantial?
Well, it's $115? It's substantial because people call me, they don't want to pay it, so.
Cindy, do you have a question?
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to mention that Berkheimer did send out friendly reminders this year. So we're really hoping that the people that put the bill aside and might have forgot about it, so we're really hoping that the reminders will.
You can tell them to send unfriendly reminders. But no, that's it. Thank you.
Now then, that being said, Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion that we have Mr. Karasak draw up a trash billing resolution for the 10% discount for next year.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up is traffic study for Riverton and River Road. Dave?
Yes, Mr. Graziano, Mr. Crowe, and myself went down to River Road the other day and studying the situation, and we getting reports that tractor trailers are starting to use the road more often. So I think we should have a weight limit on that road. There was talk about a traffic decrease, but after looking at the road, that's probably impossible given the formula that is used to establish a speed limit in the township. So I'd like to make the motion that we instruct our engineer to do a traffic study to limit the weight on Riverton Road.
Okay, do we have a second to the motion?
I'll make the second.
Any discussion from the supervisors? Ron?
You do have to have a place to weigh these trucks within such and such a distance of where you're pulling them over. I don't think you have that ability.
There's that one spot there where everybody dumps their garbage.
Well, but the state has portable scales, but that's strictly for state issue. I think Mr. Kroll will tell you, the regulation says if you pull them over for being overloaded, there's a certain distance you have to have a scale that they can go to and be weighed up.
Is that true, Justin?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Without a location, I think it's pointless to have a study done and paid for if it can't be put in place.
Yeah, unless you're looking at busing for somebody down that way.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem, I guess, you know, we don't have anywhere to weigh the trucks.
Like I said, that one spot is right there, everybody dumps their garbage.
What do you think, Justin?
I think well, I think the intention here is to restrict trucks. Does it act as a deterrent? I mean, you could argue you have speed limit signs throughout the township and you have no police force. That's why we put these speed limit signs, the flashing speed limit signs.
We did that.
We put those in as a deterrent. We try to do whatever we can without a police force to try and increase safety. So the intention is to try to minimize the amount of trucks on that road. It's not a very high volume road, but it's narrow, it's windy, there's rock cliffs there. We were thinking, look, why don't we try to at least minimize the amount of truck traffic on that road. Assuming that the traffic study comes back and says yes, based upon engineering judgment, based upon the parameters from PennDOT, the road could be posted to minimizing trucks. That was the intention, to increase safety. We fully understand that, right? You don't have a police force. You don't have a certified person that can go out and actually weigh the trucks if they are caught, along this corridor. So it's really a matter of, does the board want to try to increase safety and try to minimize the amount of trucks on that road for that reason?
I don't want to jump ahead, but in the next year's budget, there is a police force in the budget, or not police force, but it's coverage. And I know that there is someone that I talked to that is certified to weigh trucks.
Okay, well, that's
So
good to hear.
I-
I was unknown.
I'm
To
more
me, so that's-
interested if there is a place to weigh them, or else that point will be mute in that area.
Oh, you're talking about physically driving them somewhere to pull off and have them weighed?
Yes.
Oh, that could be done. You could even do it right there at the hotel that's for sale. There's places you can pull off with the park in Lower Mount Bethel.
Use the park then,
This,
yeah.
right, this is gonna need,
Well, we would need Lower Mount Bethel to.
took the words out of my mouth, you're going to need, right?
I was
you're going-
thinking we need to maybe coordinate with them.
You're gonna have to, because the signage you're gonna have to do, if you do restrict trucks, you're gonna have to put the signage right there at the bridge before it goes over to New Jersey, which is technically in Lower Mount Bethel. Yeah.
Yeah, my thoughts are that we find a spot where we can at least pull them over before we go forward with the traffic study.
Okay.
See if it can actually, be done somewhere, right? Yeah, Rich.
You wouldn't even need to weigh them if you look at the registration. If you have it down as like 8 ton, that's 16,000 pounds. All you'd have to do is look at their registration.
Yeah. The
And
truck,
see what the truck registration weighs and what the trailer weighs, and right there you're above the 8,000 pounds. You wouldn't have to weigh it.
So Rick is gonna be our new truck enforcer. UMBT, I see a bright future ahead of you, sir. Now,
Worked on it way too many times.
I appreciate it. Stavros.
Yeah, what's the cost of one of these scales to be able to even weigh the trucks? And who's gonna purchase that? Where's that getting budgeted
And they have to
from?
continuously be calibrated.
Yeah.
the state polices are forced right now, and they have those machines, they have those scales.
If we have
don't
the
have to
state
purchase
police
anything.
go,
Yeah.
And they're very easy
But like,
to go against and get the fine thrown out of court.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah, that's way too easy. I've beaten so many weight tickets by portable scales, you can't weigh them. What they try to do is they try to get you by gross vehicle weight. So if you go by gross vehicle weight, and the only way to do it is to weigh each axle individually. So then, what my example was, that I beat them, was you weigh each individual axle like that, you take down the whole number. All right, that's what it weighs, instead of weighing the whole truck all at one time. So that means if you take, say, for instance, a bathroom scale, you step on it, go to the other side, step on it with your other foot, then step on it your whole weight. It's not going to come out the same. And that's how I beat every one of them. Every one of the tickets I've ever gotten for portable scales, that was how I beat it.
So is this something, Justin, what do you think? I mean, should we even do this? What do you guys think?
I mean, if the coverage that's in the budget, I mean, if they're not able to do it, we
Well,
don't
the
even.
state police could do it.
If we get them out there,
Yeah,
but
see the
it's.
If you had it at 8 ton, their registration is going to tell you what that truck weighs, what that trailer weighs. If they have anything on there, their bill of lading is going to tell you what they weigh.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't even need a scale. You can just go by what they're going down the road with their identification for everything.
Yeah,
sure.
It'll tell you right away what it's going to.
I'm in agreement with him. I don't think it's really worth doing because it's too difficult. It's not worth the headache. And then you have to have restrictions, like say a garbage truck, for instance. My truck full is 62,000 pounds. You're gonna put an 8-ton sign over a bridge or on a roadway, or someone's getting a delivery from some furniture store. They have to get delivery. So you have to make allowances for other things as well.
So you have to do like these other ones do, local deliveries only.
Right.
Yeah, Ron.
A little bit of history. The last place had a scale you could drive on, LF Canada block plan.
That Ron, now.
Ron. I only ask this because I'm in the process of being ready to advertise the weight ordinance on Potomac Street and Railroad Avenue. Do you still want me to do that and incur that expense? It's going to be about a $300-400 expense for the township's advertisement in that regard.
And this gives us the abilities to at least put up signs, right?
Correct, right, you need to do the study in order to have the ordinance to put the signs in. Enforcement is a whole
I
nother
think we
issue.
should move ahead with the Potomac.
Potomac is not only weight, it's also signs, so it's
Yeah,
both,
right.
but
Yeah.
I didn't know if you wanted me to
Yeah,
proceed,
no,
so if you do, it's fine with me.
Yeah, this is just River Road, Riverton.
I mean, perhaps this is a good thing to throw at the Transportation Committee if there is a lot of delegation. At least use them to
Come
figure
back
out
with
a
the report,
good
yeah.
way to do it.
This might be a good test for them.
Yeah.
We already put up we moved the speed sign down to River Road, and the complaint that complained about the traffic, for the rest of the residents there, complimented us because they actually see the people slowing down. So it does work. Are we gonna get enforcement? I don't know, but if it's keeping if people that come into the neighborhood and they see the sign, they slow down, they step on the brake and they slow down, and it's already noticeable. If we put signs up that say 10,000 pound weight limit, every tractor trailer that goes through there is overweight, even if they're empty. So, and that's the purpose of it. If the state trooper wants to pull them over, yeah, but if they don't, and if they just pull over 1 or 2 a month, so be it. But it's a way of actually enforcing ourselves by putting signs up, because we don't have a police department. But
The ones that state police are pulling over right now are the dump trucks coming across the toll bridge.
Yep.
That's the ones they're pulling over. The only ones right now they're pulling over.
Rich.
Wait.
The actual area that you're talking about is also a safety hazard, because when you get at the top of that hill and it flattens out, I used to work out in Phillipsburg, and I turned wrench down there. When it flattens out there, I've seen so many trucks sitting there and just teetering back and forth because they get hung up on their frames. I'm actually surprised nobody ever went through there and punctured their tanks as they, crested that hill and they're sitting there teetering back. So really, it's a matter of a weight limit, but it's also a matter of a safety hazard.
Charlie?
I think it has Charles Cole, 6 Riverton Road. I think it has great value for a deterrent because I see the trucks coming up mostly, very few going down, that they're trying to make the turn out at my corner. But I've also seen a couple hung up on that backhanded turn that you're speaking about of River Road off Riverton Road. So I think there's value for it, and enforcing it occasionally.
I'm punctured their tanks there yet. I really am.
Okay. Well, Mr. Chair, all that being said, I'll withdraw my motion for the traffic study and refer it to our new traffic committee for them to look at.
Yeah, and with the caveat, they've got to find a location where we could pull over the trucks.
We got a committee, no one in charge delegates, so.
Okay. All right, do we need a motion for that, Ron?
I just withdrew my motion.
Yeah.
To what, refer the matter to the
TAC.
But they're not even established yet.
Yeah.
That's hard to do.
Well, when they do get established.
Oh, yeah, we did table it. All right, so we can't do a motion right now. All right, so motion, clock, move on. But we'll keep, we'll figure out how we're gonna move forward. All right, 2025 budget, Nick.
Okay, Mr. Chair, after about a month of sitting down with Jason Albert and Dave Freeman, and I want to thank them both for helping out with the budget and get insight with the board, what direction we want to go in. One of the things that Supervisor Earl mentioned was about a police force, and they asked me to put in a $50,000 line item for that, which we did. Not necessarily means that we have to spend that, but that's not, it hasn't even been discussed yet. But that's been put into the budget. We talked about the trash. It went up, and I have the discounts baked into the budget. There is funding. We're doing for Park and Rec. We're doing softball fields. I put in $150,000 for that, but we also put in for one grant from the county. Cindy and I put in for a $50,000 grant. We have not heard back from that. And also from, I asked Scott Cole, he approached me about Air Liquide. We put in for funding for that. If we get it, it would be great. So it would cut back on the cost of putting those ball fields together. And of course, we have our highway department that does great work. That would have to actually do probably most of the work for that. Probably the cost of the ball fields would be the fences. That's the most expensive part of the fences, like $70,000. So there's funding. There's a lot. There's increases in salaries, union increases. That's in the contract. Highway department. There's another line item for $160,000 of supplies. Lindsay approached me about we're going to do a lot more work on blacktopping and get our roads in really good shape. And if you drive in other townships, you could see they do a great job in doing our roads. They're in great shape as they are. We want to keep up with it. We have a plan to make sure that the roads are continually in good shape, and that's one of the priorities of the township. So they're doing a great job doing that. But the cost of doing that, it's very costly. So basically, that's where all the money is going to. There's a long 15-page document. Give it to all the supervisors for review. If there's any questions, I can answer those. If I don't have the answer, I can get it to you. We need to be able to put in a motion to have this advertised for 20 days by law, and before we could vote on the budget, to hear the advice of the public, if they have any questions, any concerns, any changes. So we need to have a motion for that before we could vote on it. The budget for this year, revenues and expenditures is $5,373,182. There is a little, it looks like there's a slight increase of EITs money, which is a good sign, meaning that the economy isn't stalled, and people are working. We just got actually today, we got another check from the county for $21,000 that's not reflected in here, for transfer tax. So transfer tax means that people are buying and selling homes, buildings, commercial buildings, so that's a good sign. We got a lot of increases. We spent our interest rates is at 4.6, and we will project to make almost $100,000 in our general fund alone. Not every fund that we have is earning 4.6%, which is actually a gift to us. And that's not something that you build your budget on, but because it can go up and down. God knows what's going to happen with the election. Who knows what's going to happen? But the decrease of 50%, Fidelity didn't take it down 50%. It took it down 40 points, and so it's 4.6. It was at 5. But the robust interest is helping us also. But also, Cindy and I are trying our best to get grants. They did a great job, Lindsay and Cindy, about getting harvest done. It's a $120,000 project. Doesn't cost the county, the township anything. We get the funding for it. Pays for the men, it pays for the trucks, pays for the equipment, everything. And in essence, it makes us a little bit more money. So it helps with the payroll. So these are, trying to be more aggressive on trying to get other ways of getting income for the township. And that being said, there'll be no increase in taxes this year. There's no need for it. We're in healthy condition right now, and I've spoken a lot. So if the board has any questions or any concerns, I'm here to happily.
Well, thank you, Nick, and thank you, Jason and David, and always nice to present a budget with no tax increase, so that's good news. And what I think we should do, and I'll just throw this out there, is put this on the township website, give the public a chance to look at it, comment, and then bring it back. Ron, when would we need to vote on the budget, or vote to have it advertised, to make sure everything's on target to get it passed before the end of the year?
You might want to consider doing that now, but I'm looking now to just check. I believe it's 20 days.
It's 20 days, yeah. I think we talked about it, Mr. Chair, that it would probably be best to have it the first meeting of December if we could vote on it, since the last the last week is Christmas week. I don't know what the plans are for end of the year, our end of the year meeting. So we need 20 days to advertise it. And at the same time, if we post it online, and anybody can have questions, concerns, they come in and want to ask and look at it, whatever they want us to email, I could email it. If it's okay with you guys, I can email it's an Excel sheet.
Probably be good to have a town hall and just have nothing but the budget discussion at the town hall.
Special meeting, you mean? Yeah, I mean, whatever we have to do for the public, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm looking here, have to give public notice by advertisement once in a newspaper, and that has to be available for public inspection for 20 days, and then after that time, the supervisors can then schedule meetings for any revisions, reviews, etc. But the final budget has to be adopted no later than December 31st.
So if we put it on, so it would have to be advertised, let's say, vote to advertise it at the December 9th meeting, would give us the 20 days.
No.
No, because then by the time I get to where the time, I
So
think you
sooner?
guys do the advertising for that, I don't think I do, but by the time you get it to the newspaper, you're gonna be beyond the 20 days.
So when is a good date in November? to
You
do.
pick any days, it's just gotta be available for 20 days.
Oh,
It
all right.
It doesn't have to be any specific time. You could say, I'm gonna advertise it next week, and 20 days starts to
Yeah,
run.
so, I guess I was confused, because I'm counting from the 9th, 20 days, which would be December 29th.
No.
Right, but you gotta advertise, you gotta get it to the paper, they gotta
Yeah.
put it in,
Right.
and
So
you
if
won't
we-
make that window.
I think earlier the better.
If we do it now, it's fine, like, if we do it.
If you do it now, you're fine.
Yeah.
Now you're
You
gonna
don't
have
have
20
to-
days.
you don't have to vote on it the 21st day.
If it's ready to be
Continue to
advertised, I'd
speak.
advertise it now.
And then we still have another
And then
15 or
you've got
whatever days.
another maybe meeting or two to revise. or
Yeah.
something,
Right.
to do
Cover
whatever.
yourself for the rain.
No, I think we should do it now.
Okay. All right, Corey, if you want to go ahead and make that
Yeah,
motion.
I would make the motion that we advertise within less than a week for it to be reviewed, changes, and then we'll be ahead of schedule for December 31st.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second, what discussion, Cindy, when's the day you have to have the, thing for the paper?
I need 2 days.
2 days.
So, I can get it. So if I send tomorrow, it'll be in by Thursday.
Or even,
Put the motion in for tomorrow.
Yeah,
Get it in, if it's in by Thursday, then your 20 days will be up on November 20, and then you'll have over a full month to
All right.
revise, have meetings, discuss, whatever, but your 20 days are in.
so Ron, just, it's my first time too, so say we have till, would you say the 20th of November?
If you advertise on the 1st,
Yeah, so let's say there is a change, would we have to advertise again to still
no,
make?
the whole point of it is then
Okay.
after that you can make
can
your
make any
revisions, et
changes.
cetera.
Okay.
Right.
So we could have as many town halls as we want leading up to December 31st.
After the proposed budget has been available for public inspection for 20 days, the Board of Supervisors shall, after making revisions as are appropriate, adopt the final budget not later than the 31st day of December. So it's not saying you need to re-advertise.
So we could basically have a town hall every day in December.
If you want,
If you want to have a town hall.
I'm sorry, I'm just,
I will have a town hall.
I'm trying to give Cindy and Corey some heartburn here.
I already feel it.
Okay. All right, so you made the motion?
Let's advertise it.
Pick a date.
Well, Cindy, I don't wanna pressure
I'll
you,
send
but
it
I mean,
tomorrow.
it's
I'll
the
send it
28th.
tomorrow, so I'll send it tomorrow.
Yeah,
So it'll be in the paper for Thursday.
okay, so I'll make the motion that it hopefully hits the paper by Thursday with 20 days.
20 days after that.
Yeah, 20 days after that to review it and make changes.
Okay, is there a second?
We just had to get a date straightened out.
Okay. All right, any more discussion?
I just have one question on page 6 of 15. What does zoning LVPSB stand for?
Page 6, you said?
Page 6,
What's the charter account number?
it is 408.
That is for the Regional Valley
314.
Planning. Yeah, so we're gonna have expenditure probably of, Dave, what did we say? I think we put it a little bit more, 12,000. I put
That's for the
15,000.
plant slate bill.
That's for the plant slate bill.
The regional
We're
comprehensive.
part of
plan.
that organization to do our comprehensive plan, and that's the final payment.
And we upped that. We increased.
I think it was 12,000, but we made it 15, because there might be a township that might be pulling out, so obviously everybody shares the cost.
And I might have missed it, but is there anything in here for the Act 537?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yep. I think that's in engineering.
See your choice. All right.
John,
Yeah, go ahead,
how
Mike.
quickly can you get it on the town website? Because more people are gonna read it there than see the notice in the paper.
We can get it on there, Stavros, can we get it on there tomorrow?
We get on there tonight, I just need it.
Stavros is gonna run home right now and get it on there. No, yeah, so,
This posted.
Sorry, tell me about it.
Oh, to be downloadable, what do we need there?
okay.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion?
This is it?
That's it.
Go ahead, Ron.
Little to the
Well,
quiz.
2 pages.
I know the solicitor will know the answer to this. In case you realize in January,
you made a mistake on the budget. What's the window of opportunity that you can open the budget back up and what percentage?
I think
Anybody
it
on
has,
board got that one?
I think it has to be after a municipal election. This isn't a municipal election.
Thank you.
going on.
Good job.
Are you testing our solicitor?
No, yes, I was, yes, yeah.
All right. Hey,
He
Ron,
knows.
you passed the Ron Engel test.
He always passes,
Congratulations.
he never flunks.
Okay, all those, we do have a motion on the floor, it's been seconded. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you guys for all your hard work on the budget.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Thank you.
Next up is reschedule November 11th meeting. November 11th is Veterans Day. And Ron, you're out November 12th?
Yeah, that's the second and fourth Tuesdays are Smithfield Township's meetings. And generally, I have to attend those because there's, at this point, 5 pieces of litigation going on with that township. So, I generally have to go to those.
Okay.
And again, put it on for the 12th. I mean, unless there's something
Yeah.
earth-shaking, you can call me and I'll, I can maybe call in or something or whatever. We can deal with it. It's not, it's not earth-shaking that if I can't make one meeting out of the whole year, we'll manage. So if you want to do Tuesday the 12th, do it.
Okay. Anybody have an issue with doing it on November 12th, 7 p.m.? Okay, I'll go ahead and make the motion that we reschedule our November 11th Board of Supervisor meeting to Tuesday, November 12th at 7 p.m.
Second.
Any discussion?
As long as there's cake, I'm there.
It'll be Supervisor Erler's birthday that day, so we will promise cake and cookies for those in attendance.
Sure.
I got you. Come on.
But we'll save Ron a plate. All right. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Part 7, public comment, 3 minutes. Just please come up to the podium, name and address. Anybody want to make a public comment? Judy.
Judith Henkel, 1752 Robin Hood Road. Not even local, but national politics these days is all about fear-mongering, just making people afraid of what's going to happen. So the whole thing about the Wild and Scenic, it did happen when it was fresh in mind about Tox Island and people being removed from that whole area. So of course, not everybody was against Wild and Scenic, but the people who were made sure we all were just terrified that the federal government was going to come in and take over everything. Or all these other silly, and I'm not going to go through them, you can look at the flyers that were out there. And look at the people who made those comments. I know some of their names, but I won't say them. So, I'm kind of looking at what Mr. Angle said, that old worn-out Ronald Reagan, I'm here from the federal government and I want to help you. I mean, over the years, some of us in our local government worked with both county, state, and federal government to get us to, grants and help us move our way through. So I'm going to turn it around the other way and say, hey, I'm from a big corporation. I got a ton of money. I'll get you a fire truck, an environmental center, a municipal building, and plenty of jobs and all kinds of tax money. You're going to be able to live high on the hog. But just don't step into the sinkhole or the sand trap on the way out.
Thanks, Judy.
I almost got to follow that one.
Oh, yeah, right. I could keep my mouth shut if you would.
If you just,
All right, guys, just address the comments up here, please.
I enjoyed it.
And Ron and Judy always go to TK's afterwards and
No,
we
no,
are.
neither one of us are TK's people. I just want to say, Mr. Cole always uses the term cost-benefit study. I think he's actually, he's the originator of that. I don't know as I've ever heard that exactly that way. So I just want to say one simple thing. the wild and scenic thing, maybe you should do a, if it passes, by the way, that you're gonna get in on it, a cost-benefit study. Very
Thank you,
important.
Ron. Anyone else?
Yeah, me.
All right, Mike.
I'll be very brief.
You got 3 minutes. You
I
can
don't
take-
need 3 minutes.
Okay.
Michael Unufrat, 43 Summerfield Drive, Mount Bethel. I'm a lifelong Dodger fan. The Dodgers lead 2-0 in the third.
All right, that's enough. That's enough. Let's not reflect that in the record, Cindy, please. And you're from New York, aren't you?
Well, they were.
We live in Brooklyn.
Oh, the Brooklyn Dodgers. Got it.
And
Got it.
they moved to California, but I became a Dodger fan. I've stayed a Dodger fan since I'm 6 years old.
Okay, so you're allowed.
Duke Snyder, probably. Yeah, Duke Snyder.
I actually have a Brooklyn Dodgers Duke Snyder hat. It was his hat,
You're one of my
given to
favorite
me by
all-time
his
players.
wife.
I want to see that at the next meeting, please.
I'll bring it.
All right. Awesome. Okay, any other public comments or score updates? Yes, Stavros.
Not a score update. I'm just referring back to the beginning, and I didn't comment earlier. Did I turn on? I did. Charles Cole had mentioned, about data warehousing, data centers or otherwise. And I don't think the public knows, because I don't talk about what I do for a living, but I've been in data center operations, either build-outs, construction or otherwise, for over 30 years. Probably been in at least 55 of them throughout the tri-state area and the surrounding United States. So if you guys have questions about data centers, their operations, their components, how things happen, I'm also the IT director. Reach out to me, let me know, we'll schedule some time. I'd be happy to discuss whatever you guys had, questions, with anything I know.
Thank
Okay?
you, Stavros. We can't comment at this time. We'll refer any questions to our solicitor, blah, 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 blah,
You
blah.
don't need a comment, the community knows things.
Anyone else, public comment? Okay, let's go on to announcements. Township Manager Nick?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I just want to let everybody know that because of the dry weather that we're having 25 days without rain, maybe a half an inch, maybe total, we're going to put a burn effect in. John Bacco is our burn coordinator. I spoke with him today. I spoke with Chief Pinto, and I spoke with Assistant Chief Potter. We all agree that leaves, brush, things of that sort, just refrain from doing that until further notice. I will let you know when you can burn them again. If it comes to a point where you're inundated with a lot of leaves and you need to get rid of them, if you have a pickup truck, we have a burn site on our site on Eastern Industries. I could bring them there, and we would do a controlled burn with the fire department and our guys, which is the safest way of doing that. But please refrain from burning the leaves and the brush until further notice. Also, I know there's a lot of campfires going on, and but that's fine. But just make sure that they're manned or womaned, and make sure you have water in the area. So just to be safe, because you just don't want to have. We had a fire this morning. A transformer fell, and when the call went in, the fire, it's just circling around the transformer, and by the time the fire department got there, it was engulfed. So that's how quickly it can happen. So, and lastly but not least, but is the garbage bills are due December 31st, and I will repeat that at every meeting. So, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well, considering we're having town halls every day in December, you can mention it at all those meetings. Thank you, Nick. Supervisor Albert.
Now, you do know December's hunting season, so I don't know how many town halls on. But I know, I don't have anything.
Supervisor Irvin.
Just to state that I went with Dave and Nick to the PSATS meeting at Camelback, and it was my first PSATS event. I found it very informative, and it was a great go-to. Also reminding people that November 5th is voting, and I know that you guys appreciate the small government, but, ish rolls downhill, so voting for the big government is kind of important. I stated at the last meeting that the rut is in effect, so please drive accordingly. And for those of you that don't know, Stavros is now handling the website update again. And Mr. Birmingham asked people to submit pictures, and I got a preview of what the website is looking like. I think so far it looks great, but I would insist that the committee chairs please give Mr. Cindy or Stavros pictures of how you would like your committees represented. And that's all I have.
Excellent. And Stavros, when do we think the website will be ready to go live?
So I emailed all of you guys to get some feedback. I only heard from 2 of you so far. If you have no feedback, Cindy and I talk almost every day about the website. I'm waiting for everybody's input in case you want to add pieces that don't exist, or if there's a component on there that isn't defined yet and you want it removed. I am asking that all the supervisors let me know what you want. Let me know what doesn't work, if we have to remove anything before we go public.
Can you send that link one more time to all the supervisors?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. And then let's take until, let's see, we're at the 28th. Let's take until November 8th. November 8th. Just give us till November 8th to review it. Give comments to Stavros and Cindy, and then we can move it live. Or vote, if we need to vote on anything, we vote on it at the 12th. Okay, thanks for the update. Supervisor Friedman.
Yes, the well committee is finished with the well ordinance update, and I'd just like to, I don't know if I need a motion, but have Mr. Karstock start working on the, to get it as an ordinance.
Yeah, I think you need a motion for it.
All right, then I'd like to make the motion that we instruct Mr. Karstock to proceed with the necessary procedures to enact the well ordinance that was gone over by the well ordinance committee.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Supervisor Ekman.
Saturday, November 9th, celebrating Veterans Day at the park. Starts at 4, fireworks to follow at 6. We're probably still looking for volunteers to help out. Have you gotten any?
I got one person who reached out to me and asked if we needed volunteers. So. But it is, I don't want to say it's a smaller event. It's not as, Parks and Rec is selling concessions. Only
Yes.
Parks and Rec is selling concessions. We're doing hot dogs, coffee, hot chocolate, soda water, chips.
Yeah.
Slushies?
No slushies. We think it's going to be too cold for slushies.
It was cold last year.
You did an ice
You
cream
don't have to
handout
tell me.
like 2 weeks ago.
There will still be music. We're working on singers. I believe the one singer isn't able to make it. There's one more that we're reaching out to. But again, music, food, fireworks. It'd be a good shorter event too. So even if it's cold out, come get a hot dog, get some hot chocolate. I'll be in shorts
I was
just to prove
just
that
gonna say, I'm
everybody
pretty sure they can
Where
come
are
see
you
you
in
in shorts.
I'm wearing pants tonight, David.
I want to get a picture of that.
Stavros, let me know if you need singers at all. I can help you with that.
Yeah, Nick's reached out. I'm reaching out as well.
She's not available, but
Are you saying 2 o'clock to be up there?
Well, it starts at
The
4.
event starts at 4.
I mean, if you want help setting up and stuff.
2 o'clock would be a safe bet. Yes.
Do you want me to look for singers?
Yes.
Okay.
You need a mule?
Nick, you sing, don't you?
Oh, yeah, you want to hear me sing in Neverland?
Yeah, we have it. Yeah.
All right, I'll look for some singers.
Okay.
Let me see. I think that, you addressed everything for Veterans Day, then for the celebration?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're also collecting we're collecting donations for the Slate Belt Veterans Association Housing Project in Bangor.
Okay. Fantastic. All right, anything else, Corey?
No, that's all.
All right, great. Speaking for veterans, also, we have a free power washing for any veteran in Upper Mount Bethel Township who enters their name in our contest. We're going to be drawing 3 names from the list of participants who enter their name and address. You have to live in Upper Mount Bethel Township, and you have to be a veteran. And it'll be a free power washing. So that remains open until November 10th, and then we're going to draw the names on November 11th. And then you 3 veterans will get their homes power washed for free. And that's from Family and Friends Home Care, and it's a way of them saying thank you for your service. Also on November 9th, the same day as the fireworks celebration up at the park, if you get the chance between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m., the American Legion is having their coin helmet toss. That's where the Legionnaires stand out in front of their office or their home. And if you want to give donations to the American Legion, it's a wonderful day, a wonderful way to help them out and to say thank you for your service. That's November 9th. It's from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Right on Johnsonville Road. Another thing I wanted to bring up, a few residents have reached out and asked if we want to have a Christmas decorating contest for the homes. We've done this in the past. Anyone who wants to enter the Christmas decorations, they can reach out to either myself or Nick or Cindy, give their address, and then we get a list of addresses. The supervisors drive around. If this is how we've done it in the past, but I'm open to ideas. The supervisors have driven around, come up with their, I think we did the top 3 homes that they pick, and then we get prizes, they're donated prizes for the top 3 best looking homes. So is that a go? You want to do it?
I like the idea. I'd love to be a part of it.
Okay, let's do it then. All right, I'll work with Supervisor Earler on
Let's
it.
just not do a Saturday so I can actually be involved during the day.
Now you can go whenever you want, I promise.
We'll do Saturday night.
Saturday night, all right. All right, so I'll get more information. I'll get more information on that. There was another thing, and this is something, we don't have to decide tonight, but a resident had reached out to me, and there's a way to help lost pets find their way home, and it's they're doing it in Swansboro, North Carolina. It's a chip scanning station. You can put it at any public building or whatever. So if you find a lost dog or a lost cat or, I don't know, whatever, a lost cow, a lost horse, you bring the animal to this scanning station. It's an easy chip scan. The service is free, and then the scan goes to the chip company, who reaches out to the animal's owner. I thought it's not a bad idea. It's something to think about. What?
We don't have the Haitians here yet.
All right, moving on. So just something to think about. I can look into it a little bit more. First we'd have to figure out where we're going to put it. Maybe in Nick's office, it's a good idea. No, I don't know.
Except for my house, come by and
You want it?
I got
All
a
right.
kid's chip.
The vets usually have the scanners.
yeah,
Yes.
our vets should all have scanners.
All right, well, it's something to think about. So I just wanted to bring that up. And that's it for me.
Just one minute.
Oh, one last thing. Chill on Wheels is finishing up their ice cream run. Wait, let me find out when it is, because this is a big day in my household.
How fast will you drive?
Give me a second. What's that?
Nothing.
Next Saturday, November 2nd, from 12:30 to 3 p.m. So he'll be going through Upper Mount Bethel one last time for the year, so just be aware. All right. Are we good? Yes,
One
Nick.
thing, November 9th, November 9th,
Oh, yeah.
Ann Flood is doing from 10 to 12, we're gonna be doing a trash pickup. Volunteers, if anybody wants to show up, we're actually doing it down on River Road, Riverton, where we were talking about the truck study. From 10 to 12, we're gonna stage from here, go down to River Road, probably be down there for an hour and a half, and then that's it. But if anybody wants to come out, let me know, let Cindy know, and should be a nice, easy day.
And when you're done, you get hungry, you go up to the community park, grab a hot dog, and see some fireworks.
Now you're
Well,
talking.
That's 4 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
That's it, Mr. Chair.
Thanks. And also one last thing that Ann Flood, Representative Ann Flood is helping put on, there's a special needs exposition, Saturday, November 16th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Forks Township Community Center. So, a lot of good information there for those who have children with special needs, like myself. So, just keep that in mind. And that's it for or Cindy, anything?
Don't forget to sign up for Code Red.
That's first thing. Oh,
I haven't used that in a while. And also, we had our paper shred event
Yeah.
on Saturday, and it was a beautiful day and a good turnout, and we'll look forward to having another one
Awesome.
Next fall.
Great. And thank you for doing that, Supervisor Friedman.
And Nick.
And Nick. And
Yep.
Cindy, you were there. I saw you
Cindy
there.
works hard.
Okay, that's it. We're going into executive session. We have a discussion with open space. We have a legal issue with the past bill we need to talk to our solicitor about. And then a couple questions on the current litigation the township is facing. It's 9:17 and we'll be back after executive session. And Mike, what's the score of the game? 3-2?
3-zip.
3-zip? Wow.
You don't have to say it like that. Wow. So is this is going to be a 4
9:46.
Yeah.
All right, this meeting is called back into order. It's 9:46. We went back into executive session. We talked about open space. They had some questions. We had talked about legal issues with the past bill. And then we had some questions about ongoing litigation. With that being said, is there any motion coming out of executive session?
I guess, Mr. Chair, as per,
Could you give us a rough idea of what?
Ron, in a second, go ahead.
as per our discussion in executive session, it came up that that our new security company came in and found safety issues and code violations that had to be corrected. These were put in place by 21st Century Security. So I'd like to make the motion that we back charge 21st Century Security in the amount of $5,250 to correct safety issues and code violations when they installed certain elements in the security system.
Okay, do we have a second?
So moved.
Any other discussion?
Before you pass it, they went out of business.
Okay, yeah, we know.
We know.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
They sold to Cooper.
Okay, Ron, you had a question.
The litigation, just a rough explanation. I don't want specific names or whatever, but usually Mr. Karasak does a good job with the rough explanation.
Yeah, go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, the litigation, again, deals with the RPL lawsuit that has been filed against the township, and I think supervisors personally, and it deals with what was the most recent court decision. And again, I'm not handling that matter, but what's the most recent court decision and what will now be the next steps as a matter of strategy and bargaining with respect to that.
But is that not Mr. Cousins' end of the day?
Yes, yes.
So you're just joking, are you co-counsel now?
No, they just discussed that matter, and that is what.
They want a
was
second
discussed,
opinion.
You know.
Nothing wrong with the second opinion.
No, especially if the second opinion is coming from him and the first opinion came from Mr. Cousins. There's a big difference in qualifications.
All right, well, that being said, Ron got the last word in yet again. And with that being said, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second? Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.
Mr. Onufrak, score.
He's not as happy.
Still 3-zip at the end of the fourth.
Wow. They can't even get one run, the Yankees.
Go home and watch the game.
Oh,